and that's me, and I'm going to share with you more about RPA Supervisor. So I'm going to show you how it looks like. Again, if you have any question during the presentation, just ask right away. Okay. So first, I'm going to show you the starting point. So what you can see is probably what you are very familiar with, and that's a Blue Prism control room. So I have an environment with 20 robots so that I can really show you how the RPA supervisor moves the resources around to process various processes. So at this moment, my environment contains 20 robots. All of them are idle. That's on purpose. And now what you can see is the RPA supervisor web interface. So I logged in and I provided my username and password, and this is what I can see. That's an overview of dashboard where I can see different widgets. At this moment, my robotic workforce is stopped, so that's why the figures are more interesting from the past days when I was playing with that. But let's go first to the setting of the environment. So what RPA supervisor can do? First, we actually need to tell RPA supervisor that we want to connect to the existing Blue Prism infrastructure. So we are saying that there is Blue Prism detected, integrator component is connected, and we can say that out of existing number of Blue Prism licenses, we want to utilize by RPA supervisor just certain number. Okay, so we do not have to use all the Blue Prism licenses by RPA supervisor. This is rather for the clients who are just building the trust in the product, because otherwise it doesn't make sense to split your RPA, your Blue Prism licenses between RPA supervisor and some manual running. Here are some properties where you can set up that RPA supervisor doesn't need to handle lock screen or can handle lock screen, and some other properties where you can say, okay, RPA supervisor is allowed to reboot the machines either through Blue Prism resource agent, which is something delivered by RPA supervisor, or RPA supervisor may reboot machine using command shutdown issuing on that resource. So as you can see, RPA supervisor can actually, under certain circumstances, reboot your machine so that it can get back from some difficult or hanging status. Then another feature of RPA supervisor is that you can log in with RPA supervisor, or you can say, I don't want RPA supervisor to perform the login. So there are different options. Then RPA supervisor actually reads all the information from your Blue Prism environment. So it reads the information about all the queues which you defined, and you can make available those queues in RPA supervisor, or you can hide them. So either you see the queues later on, or you won't see them. You read also all your runtime resources which are available in your environment, and again you can hide them, show them, whatever you wish to do with those resources. So then they are available for processing or not. In this tool, you also see all your processes which are available, and you see also all credentials. So in our case, we have just 2 credentials, but that's just an example. So this is the configuration which is read from your Blue Prism environment, from your existing environment, and it's set up very, very quickly and easily. From the other options which are interesting here are that you can assign users to users, or you can define notifications, and you can say that the notification will be delivered in dashboard or will be delivered by email to particular people, and what conditions can be reported, so that session freezes, session terminates, resources underperforming, resources offline delayed, few resources available in case that you are coming to breach your SLA, so that you can be notified that you need to put more resources if you don't want to breach SLA. So these are some basic settings. And then, as I was talking about, we have those nice widgets where you can see SLA adherence, SLA progression, how many sessions were completed, how many sessions were terminated. And I would point out that actually in this widget, the data are live. So it's like real-time data coming from your system. This is the historical data. You can choose whether it's this month, last quarter, and so on. So all those widgets are configurable. And very important probably parameter is how much time was delivered back to business through your RPA robotic workforce. There's the parameter which gives you an overview how efficient is your robotic workforce. You can also see your current license utilization. So this is based during each and every hour. So you see actual license usage from your complete stack of licenses. So here you have nice overview of your license usage during 24 hours when the robots are running. Excuse me. Okay, so that was the beginning, setting up the scene, and now I would explain a little bit what is the workflow and what is the task. The resources are clear; these are just Blue Prism resources. So you can see that we have few of those here. It should be around 20, and the sessions. No session is running. And then events, these are the notifications. So let me go back to workflows. What is actually a workflow? A workflow is something which groups Blue Prism processes together. So you can imagine that you have a process which loads items in the queue, and the process which processes items in the queue. From Blue Prism perspective, this is optimal split of process, because you split the processing part and loading part, so you can manage both of them independently. In here, we are grouping those processes together in a workflow, so that we have better understanding what is going on. And as I'm saying, the workflow can consist of more tasks than two. Okay, it can be a workflow for credit cards where we can see it's not the best example. Let me see. Most of them are two, but you can have more tasks here than two, so that the processes are run in a sequence, and you just manage one workflow. So it simplifies your management. What you see here in that heart is that it's ready to work. It's not paused, and these are paused. I made it on purpose, because if I run all of the workflows, it will be just transforming workers or runtime resources, and we will not be able to see nice feature of balancing the resources. So the workflow is actually the top entity which groups together the processes which are related to some business process, I would say. Then I'm going to the task overview, and each task represents one Blue Prism process. Each task has got configuration, and this is something which I was talking during morning session. In here, you give your task name. You say, okay, what response time you want to have for the task, so that this task should be started within 10 minutes from the time when there is item in a Blue Prism queue. That task is using a Blue Prism queue which is called transaction, and queue item state is pending. That the task should be running 24/7 or can be run at the end of the day or extended working hours, and we can actually look at this. So we can define what it means extended working hours. We can say that it's 8 to 7 on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and during Saturday it's from 8 to 4, and that's the time when this process will be actually running. And you can choose different national holidays, and you can create a new calendar saying that, you know, it will be day of month, and you just say that it can be, okay, 1st of January, and you say it will be January, and it applies throughout all the years for the future. So you really do not need to specify the date with the year, but you do it once and it applies for all future dates during upcoming years. So that's the holiday feature. And as you can see, you can add more shifts, like, okay, I want this to be running from from 2 a.m. till 4 a.m. and just during the Sunday, and that's another time slot when this process or task will be running. You know, that's another time slot when it can run. So we can do it that way as well. So these are the SLA parameters which you can specify for each and every Blue Prism process or task in the terminology of RPA Supervisor. So then you just define which process, excuse me, which process it is. So in here you choose from your Blue Prism processes which one it is, and then you choose which credentials will be used. And that's basically it. Then you define under performance conditions so that you say if there are 2 process terminations in a row, that's the underperformance, and that underperformance can be notified to the event. Then if this is not ticked, but if process completes number of items in one consecutive session, then, you know, it can be again defined as underperformance conditions, and that if the process is ran only once in 60 minutes, that's also defined as underperformance. So once we define all those properties for our process in RPA Supervisor, we are ready to go. So now I'm going to activate those tasks one by one, and just to show you that I'm going to place some work manually in the queue, so that, you know, our robots are going to be started. And the engine behind RPA Supervisor now actually evaluates what is needed. So you could have seen that there were 3 workers assigned to this task. Now the heart is green and it's saying it's working. There is 45 items pending, 11 workers assigned, and the deadline is 14:40. So I'm saying, okay, good. Now I'm going to activate, not this one, I'm going to activate this one. And I am going to start some items manually here as well, so that we can see how RPA Supervisor manages the workload, in a sense that it assigns additional workers to a new process. So you could see that, maybe you could not, that there were assigned 5 workers to this process, and now I'm using all 20 workers here. To make it more stressed, I place some additional work to this queue, and I am going to activate the third workflow, and I am going to put some tasks in here. So we should see that the engine is actually evaluating what needs to be processed. I can see that I'm consuming all 20 licenses, and in some time this will get some additional workers. It will take some time because the RPA supervisor must actually stop some of those sessions, and because every item takes some time to process before it can be stopped, the process. So it takes some time to assign worker to a new task. So in here you can see that the deadline here is 2:42, and we are currently using 18 licenses. We have some event here which says that there is SLA breach, because it seems that the time 14:40 might not be sufficient. You see that there is 3 workers here, 1 came here, so you can see that it's really dynamically assigning the workers to the tasks which are needed. So when we actually see that new items are being created here, so in a moment we will see that there will be digital workers assigned to this task. So, and when I really stress this out, we will be seeing that the heart will be going from the green to orange and maybe red if the SLA breach is coming, or if there are too many items to be processed. Excuse me. What you can see here, that RPA supervisor is probably not putting anything here because the deadline for processing those items is late night today. So that's why we are not seeing any worker being assigned to this task, because there is plenty of time to be processed. There are 4 workers here doing the 15 items here, and there are 16 here. If I leave it like that and I deactivate this one, during the time, the number of workers being assigned here will go down, as you can see. And the workers are assigned to this task. So again, we are at the 20 workers. Now we are assigning 5 workers here, because RPA supervisor assessed that this will be done very shortly. Actually, I don't need 11 workers if I have less than 8 items. But what happens if I activate this and I stress this out again? So I will put more items in the queue. And as you can see, because there is plenty of work here, so RPA Supervisor assigned 16 workers to this workflow to process those 70 items. And now we will be seeing how those 16 will migrate to the workflow B2B transactions, because in short time there will be appearing items pending in account transactions. So just give it some time and we will see it shortly. Okay, meanwhile, I can see that the question, is there any exact need of the RPA process framework? I'm not sure whether I understand the question properly. So can I rephrase it in a way that you are asking whether you need to modify your processes in a way so that you can use them in RPA Supervisor, right? If this is if this is the case, then as I said, you can actually use it straight away if your processes are designed in a way that you have separated part load to queue, loading the items from some source, and process items. So if your process consists of two sub-processes, load to queue and process queue, then it can be used right away in RPA Supervisor. Okay, so so we are waiting for this guy to get focus. So we are seeing that the number of pending items I lost the connectivity for some time, but I hope that you can see my screen again. So what you see now is
yes, we can, Zinku. Yes, now it's fine.
Okay, excellent. So what you see now is that 16 workers are assigned here, 4 are assigned here, and there is the orange heart, which says that deadline outlook is mediocre. So it may happen that it will not be finished within the deadline. So over the time, and again, it will take a bit, because as I said, it takes some time to finish the session, and the loan workflow and the loan process takes one item around 3 minutes. So it usually takes time to move the workers from this one to this one. But you can see that it's getting better, and RPA Supervisor is slowly assigning workers to this high priority items compared to those ones which deadline is during late night. So of course I could start the other tasks or workflows to show you how it works, but I believe that those 3 are excellent example how RPA Supervisor is balancing your workers and assigning them to appropriate processes or tasks based on the parameters which you specify. Again, just to confirm, if you have too many tasks with too restrictive deadlines and your robotic workforce can't manage it, then this tool will not help you. If you are just over your limits, this tool will do only one thing, and that it will tell you, hey guys, I'm probably going to breach the SLA because I do not have a sufficient number of digital workforce. So that's something that's the grow of the tool. One of the last features which I really like is this feature can be used to purchase Blue Prism license on a temporary basis. So let's say that you are saying, okay guys, I probably need for next week 3 additional robots. So you can click here and you can say, okay, I will need it between 30th and 31st. I will need 4 licenses, and you can just restrict it to a certain workflow, because if you are going to charge the business for these additional licenses, then that information can be recorded in the system. I will not use it. You can also use advanced calendar option. So you can say, I will use the new licenses from 8 till, let's say, 16, and I will use them only excuse me, only during the work days. And then you can see you can add additional shift. So once done, and this is not the real cost, this is just to show how it's going to look like, then you will see what will be the cost for these licenses and for the times which you ordered, and then you can place the order. And then those licenses, temporary licenses, will be available within your environment. So that's it. I really believe that this is excellent tool which can help you to streamline your RPA operation, which can save a lot of time which you currently may spend in control room. You can expose, or you can give access to business users so they can see the real-time data. So maybe you remember that when we started, there was 5 hours time back to business. Now there is 9 hours. The business can see all those widgets or graphs, so they can participate in the view of what's going on in your environment, and they do not have to ask you for that information, and you do not have to generate the reports for them.
A short question, please. Would they have their own single view on that supervisor, or would they share a global view which would everyone would share?
Okay, this is just the view which of your RPA infrastructure. So if you are a client, you see just what you have as a client as RPA workforce. And you can set up different widgets to different users, because you can define the users, with different permissions, and they can see whatever you want them to see. So it's really fully customizable in a way that if you don't want them to see some information, they will not see it.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's all from my side. So if there are any additional questions, guys, then shout at me.
Maybe
Hi, Nick, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
go
David?
Yeah, go ahead.
Regarding this product, is it some special license product we added to the supervisor to the Blue Prism environment, or is it available in the standard solution if we already have Blue Prism and licenses?
Okay. Thank you for the question. This is definitely a third-party product which is licensed separately. So we are just talking to company that developed the product about the pricing, how it could be customized for our market, and what is the optimal optimal pricing. So if you are interested, really get in touch with us, and we will figure out what would be the best scenario for you. But there is definitely a price tag to this tool. It's not for free.
Thank you.
Hello, I have a short question. So you said that you can control just a part of your resources by this. You assigned like 20 out of 30 robots, right? So
Yes, yes.
all of these nice graphs only consider those 20 robots? Or is it possible
Correct.
to get the data about the other robots utilization here?
That's a good question. I do not have, well, I think that the answer would be that you are getting the information only from the robots which are part of RPA Supervisor. But let me double check whether it's a correct answer or not, because on the other hand, you are connecting to Blue Prism database, so there is no reason why we shouldn't see the information from all the robots, regardless whether they are run by RPA Supervisor or by someone else.
Because I think it would be really interesting for the business users to see all the utilization at one screen.
Thank you for the question.